All right, welcome to the Explainer. We're jumping right in today because if you've ever caught yourself looking for the absolute smartest, most efficient way to get something done, well, you are in the exact right place. Today we're exploring a seriously fascinating concept straight from our source material, finding the smartest, shortest path in life. And we're actually going to look at this on two totally different levels. First, physically, through the lens of geometry, and then philosophically, looking at how those exact same principles apply to our moral choices. So let's just dive right into this, because by the end of our time together, I promise you're going to look at the physical world, your everyday decisions, and even your living room TV in a completely new way. So think about this for a second. What is the absolute shortest distance between 2 points? We all know the old saying, right? A straight line. But think about how we actually navigate the world on a daily basis. When you walk down the street or, say, drive through a neighborhood, what do you usually do? You stick to the sidewalks, the streets, the edges of the block. We are just so conditioned to walk around the perimeter of our problems. But sticking to the edges isn't always the best route, and it's definitely not the fastest. Sometimes you literally just need to cut across. You got to look past the boundaries that are set up for you and find that direct path.
Now, finding that correct, direct path requires something incredibly important, and that is planning. Whether you're laying out the blueprint for a skyscraper or mapping out your overarching life goals, mastering your spatial awareness and making smart, calculated choices, that's the bedrock of good planning. You really have to know where you're starting, where you're going, and the wisest possible way to bridge that gap. Interestingly, our source material frames this whole concept of foundational planning through Scripture. It points out Proverbs 16:3, which says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." It essentially connects this very physical idea of mapping out routes to a much broader perspective on intentional, guided planning.
Okay, Section 1, the famous equation, unlocking the shortcut.
Here it is, the Pythagorean theorem. Now, the absolute crucial element to understand here is the hypotenuse. That's the longest side of a right triangle, calculated as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And yeah, I know it might bring back some high school math class memories, but trust me, this isn't just some memorization drill. It's a wildly powerful modeling tool that governs the world around us. It's literally what architects use to make sure a roof doesn't just cave in under heavy snow. It's what video game developers use to seamlessly calculate how fast your character runs diagonally across a digital map. Logistics networks use it to route packages across the globe. Basically, when you truly understand the hypotenuse, you hold the key to the ultimate physical shortcut.
Moving on to Section 2, solving everyday puzzles, math in action.
Let's treat these next few examples as mini stories where you are the architect. Imagine you're building a ramp for a local skate park. You know the ramp needs to be exactly 3 feet high to get the right amount of air, right? And the base needs to stretch out 4 feet along the flat ground. But you're at the hardware store to buy the wood for the actual ramp surface, that slanted part connecting the top to the ground. So, how long does that piece of wood actually need to be? Well, step 1, identify our legs. A is 3, B is 4. Step 2, square them. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16. Add those together, 9 plus 16 equals 25. Step 3, find the square root of 25, and just like that, the math clicks perfectly into place.
5. You need exactly 5 feet of wood. And honestly, that number represents confidence. By applying this simple, elegant formula, you didn't have to guess. You didn't buy too much wood and blow your budget, and you didn't buy too little and build some sketchy, dangerous ramp. The math just handed you the exact dimension you needed to build something safe and precise.
All right, let's try another real-world scenario. Imagine you're navigating a massive, perfectly gridded city. You walk 6 blocks straight east, turn the corner, and walk 8 blocks straight north to meet a friend at a park. You are exhausted. You look back towards where you started and wonder, how far am I from my starting point, as the crow flies? Let's run the formula. A is 6, B is 8. Square them, 36 plus 64. That gives us a beautiful round 100. Take the square root of 100, and our diagonal C is exactly 10 blocks.
Now, the real-world implication of that number 10 is actually super fascinating. Just think about it. You walked 6 blocks plus 8 blocks. You walked 14 blocks in total, completely tiring yourself out by sticking strictly to the edges of the city grid. But the direct path, that diagonal shortcut cutting right through, is only 10 blocks. Understanding this geometry literally saves you time, energy, and effort. It proves mathematically that the path most people take is definitely not always the smartest one.
Okay, one more puzzle, and this involves something you probably look at every single day. A television. When you walk into an electronics store and see a 55-inch TV advertised, that number absolutely does not mean the TV is 55 inches wide. Displays are actually measured diagonally across the screen. So let's say you measure the actual physical width of a screen, and it's 48 inches wide and 27 inches tall. Let's find out its true advertised size. A is 27, B is 48. We square them. We're working with some slightly bigger numbers here, so let's take it step by step. 27 squared is 729. 48 squared is 2304. Add those up, and we get 3033. Take the square root of 3033, and it comes out to roughly 55.07 inches.
Boom! The screen is about 55 inches diagonally. You literally just successfully decoded everyday retail marketing. You now have the analytical power to look at everyday objects and completely understand the hidden math behind their design. It's like you're seeing the Matrix. All right, Section 3. Test your skills. Are you ready?
Okay, I've walked you through the steps, and now it's your turn. We've got 5 quick challenges lined up for you. 1. A square with 7-foot sides. What's the diagonal? 2. A triangle with legs of 9 and 12 feet. 3. A walking route of 10 feet east and 24 feet north. 4. A 15-foot ladder leaning against a wall with the base is 9 feet away. How high up the wall does it actually reach? And hey, notice on that one, you're actually solving for A or B, not C. And finally, number 5, a city block that's 60 by 80 feet. I highly encourage you to just hit pause on this explainer right now, grab a scrap of paper, and test yourself. Prove to yourself that you have totally mastered this tool.
Section 4. Education with morality, the ultimate shortcut.
So, we've talked a ton about finding the smartest path mathematically, but now we're shifting gears to finding the smartest path in life. This brings us right to a core philosophy outlined in our source text from the heroesmartacademy Godly Learner series. This curriculum draws a very sharp, deliberate contrast between secular knowledge and biblical morality. It poses a pretty heavy argument that education without morality is fundamentally incomplete. Because from this perspective, what is the point of knowing the Pythagorean theorem? Being analytically brilliant and highly educated, if a person just continues to make bad choices in their personal life that cause pain to themselves and others. The text argues that a sharp mind without a moral compass is actually dangerous. But education with morality, that is what actually leads to peace, good choices, and godly wisdom.
The source material anchors this whole idea in Scripture, specifically pointing to Romans 8:6-7, which promises peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. The big overarching lesson from the Godly Learners series here is that while mathematical precision is an absolutely incredible tool, it builds a sturdy skate ramp, it flawlessly calculates the diagonal of a city block, it just cannot calculate the weight of a complex moral decision. According to the curriculum, true peace and truly smart life choices stem from a spiritually grounded mind that integrates this worldly knowledge with strong values.
Which leaves us with a final, really vital question posed by this curriculum. You now have the mathematical formula for the shortest physical path. You understand exactly how to cut across the grid and calculate that hypotenuse. But do you have the moral and spiritual wisdom to walk the right path in your daily life? It is such a compelling intersection of analytical geometry and philosophical decision-making. So absolutely apply your problem-solving skills to your math homework, for sure. But the curriculum asks you to remember to apply that exact same level of intention to the choices you make every single day. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.